I never planned to become the cupcake queen of the Midwest. Growing up in Millfield, population 8,543, my dreams had always involved leaving, not staying. But life has a way of frosting your plans with unexpected outcomes. After culinary school and 5 grueling years working in high-end Chicago restaurants, I returned to Millfield temporarily, just long enough to help Mom recover from hip surgery. At least that was the plan. Millfield had changed during my absence. The once vibrant Main Street now featured vacant storefronts where family businesses had thrived for generations. The Reynolds hardware store, Jacobson's books, even Myers Diner, all gone, victims of big box stores and online shopping. One rainy Tuesday, feeling restless after Mom fell asleep, I baked a batch of cardamom spice cupcakes with honey buttercream, a signature recipe I developed in Chicago. The next day, I brought some to Sarah Jenkins, who owned the struggling coffee shop downtown. "These are incredible, Olivia," she said after one bite. "Would you consider selling these here? My customers would go crazy for them." That simple question changed everything. Within a month, I was supplying 3 local businesses with baked goods. Within 3 months, I had rented a tiny storefront, formerly the town's florist, and opened Sweet Revival Bakery. The name reflected my mission, reviving both traditional recipes and Millfield's struggling downtown. I developed cupcakes inspired by regional classics, butter pecan caramel, black raspberry chocolate, and my bestseller, sweet corn cupcakes with blueberry compote filling and honey buttercream. For the first year, Sweet Revival thrived in its small way. Not restaurant in Chicago profitable, but enough to pay the bills and build a loyal following. Local ingredients, nostalgic flavors with modern twists, and genuine connections with customers gave us something the convenience store pastries couldn't match. Then came the announcement: Megamart, the retail behemoth, was developing a small format grocery store directly across from Sweet Revival. The town was divided. Some welcomed the jobs and convenience, others worried about the impact on the few remaining local businesses. My customers were supportive but concerned. "They'll have a full bakery department," warned Ellen Thompson, my Tuesday regular. "With those corporate prices, how will you compete?" I wondered the same thing, especially after Megamart's regional director, Bradley Wilson, stopped by one afternoon. He examined my shop with barely concealed disdain. The mismatched vintage furniture, local art on the walls, and glass cases of admittedly expensive cupcakes. "Quaint operation you have here," he said, declining my offer of a sample. "But let's be realistic. Your little bakery will be bankrupt in 6 months. We're opening across the street and nobody pays $4 for a cupcake in Millfield." I maintained my professional smile, having dealt with plenty of condescending men in restaurant kitchens. "Every business serves its own market, Mr. Wilson. I wish Megamart success with yours." He laughed as he headed toward the door. "When you fail, we'll have an assistant manager position waiting. Someone with your creativity might do well in our corporate structure." After he left, I sat down and seriously evaluated my options. Competing on price was impossible. Megamart's industrial bakery products, produced in massive quantities, would cost a fraction of mine. Competing on convenience was equally hopeless against a store with longer hours and one-stop shopping. That night, I called my former chef mentor in Chicago. "They'll destroy me on price and convenience," I explained. "What do I have that they don't?" "Story," Chef Marcus answered without hesitation. "Connection, authenticity. Corporate chains sell products. You sell experiences connected to people's memories and community. Double down on what makes you different, not what makes you similar." His advice sparked an epiphany. The next day, I implemented what I called the revival strategy. First, I reached out to local farmers, featuring their stories alongside the ingredients they provided. Mrs. Peterson's honey, featured in my best-selling buttercream, came with a small card explaining how her bees pollinated the same orchards that supplied our apples. Second, I introduced the heritage line of baked goods based on recipes from local families. Mrs. Abernathy's cinnamon rolls, created from her grandmother's handwritten recipe, became our Friday special. Mr. Collins' great-grandmother's chocolate cake, adapted from his family's 1897 recipe book, became our signature celebration cake. Third, and most crucially, I invited the community into the process. We hosted monthly recipe contests, weekend baking classes for kids, and Technique Tuesdays, where I demonstrated professional methods for home bakers. The strategy required more work but minimal additional cost. The magic happened when Megamart opened with predictable corporate fanfare, Bolivin's standardized products, and employees who'd been transferred from other locations. Their bakery department featured perfectly uniform, plastic packaged cupcakes for $1.99. As predicted, many price-conscious customers flocked to the cheaper option. For 2 terrifying weeks, my sales dropped nearly 40%. Then something unexpected happened. People started coming back. These just don't taste the same, Mrs. Gunderson complained, returning to buy a half dozen of my apple spice cupcakes. And nobody there knows anything about what's in them. Mr. Rodriguez, who initially switched to Megamart's cheaper option for his weekly office treats, returned after his coworkers complained. They said your cupcakes were worth the extra money. Something about how they remind them of their grandmother's kitchens. Slowly, steadily, business recovered. Not completely, some customers were permanently lost to lower prices, but enough to keep us afloat. Meanwhile, I continued innovating, introducing seasonal specials featuring uniquely local ingredients: pawpaw custard in fall, black raspberry in summer, and maple walnut in winter. 6 months after Megamart's confident prediction of my demise, Sweet Revival was not only surviving but growing. Our heritage line had expanded to include breads, pies, and cookies, each with a family story. Local media covered our community initiatives, particularly after we started the Future Bakers program providing culinary scholarships to Millfield High School graduates. At month 8, something truly unexpected happened. The Megamart store manager, not Bradley Wilson, but his replacement after a regional restructuring, came in and ordered 4 dozen assorted cupcakes. Corporate visitors, she explained sheepishly. They specifically requested local specialties to experience during their visit. By month 10, 3 development companies had approached me about opening locations in neighboring towns. I selected one location in Riversdale, 20 miles away, maintaining the same commitment to local ingredients and community connection. The second Sweet Revival opened with lines around the block. Local news coverage expanded to regional interest. A food blogger from Chicago made the 2-hour drive to profile our hyperlocal cupcake revolution. The story got picked up by national outlets looking for heartwarming small-town success stories. Exactly 1 year after Bradley Wilson's dismissive prediction, my phone rang while I was developing recipes in our new Riversdale kitchen. Olivia Bennett, this is James Peterson, Megamart VP of Operations. I recognized the name from industry publications. He outranked Bradley Wilson by several levels. What can I do for you, Mr. Peterson? I asked, genuinely curious about this unexpected call. I'll be direct, Ms. Bennett. Your products have developed quite a following. We've had numerous customer requests to carry Sweet Revival items in our stores. We'd like to discuss a national distribution deal for your products. I nearly dropped the phone. National distribution would mean millions in revenue, mainstream recognition, and validation that my small-town bakery had created something of significant value. That's quite an offer, I managed, trying to sound professional rather than shocked. We're prepared to be very generous, he continued. Our initial projections suggest we could move 30,000 units weekly across our Midwest locations alone. We'd handle mass production, of course. That detail snapped me back to reality. Mass production, using your facilities and ingredients? Naturally, we need to adapt the recipes for scale and shelf stability. Our food scientists are excellent at maintaining the essential flavor profiles while optimizing for production efficiency. I looked around at the kitchen where Mrs. Peterson's honey sat in glass jars, where Mr. Collins had tearfully watched his great-grandmother's chocolate cake recipe come back to life, where local high school students learned techniques passed down through generations. Mr. Peterson, I'm listening, I said, choosing my words carefully, but I need to understand exactly what you're proposing. Would these products still be made with local ingredients? Would they maintain the connection to the family recipes and stories? His hesitation told me everything. We'd certainly maintain the appearance of artisanal quality. Our marketing department has some excellent ideas for packaging that evokes small-town charm. The appearance of quality evokes small-town charm. Not actually maintaining either. I appreciate Megamart's interest, I said, but Sweet Revival's products aren't just about ingredients or recipes. They're about community connection and authentic stories. I'd be happy to discuss a more limited partnership that maintains those values. Perhaps a regional arrangement where we continue production using our methods. Ms. Bennett, he said, his tone shifting from collaborative to condescending. You're talking about leaving millions on the table. Your current production methods simply won't scale to national distribution. Then perhaps national distribution isn't right for Sweet Revival, I replied. But I'm open to creative alternatives that preserve our core values. After several more conversations and a visit from Megamart's artisanal brands team, we reached an unexpected compromise. Rather than mass-producing Sweet Revival products for national distribution, Megamart would feature our bakery in a new Local Legends program in their Midwest stores. The arrangement allowed us to maintain production control while gaining distribution in 50 stores across 5 states. More importantly, it came with no recipe modifications and included prominent storytelling about our ingredients, heritage connections, and community impact. 2 years after that initial dismissive visit from Bradley Wilson, Sweet Revival had grown to 4 locations, a dedicated production facility employing 27 people, and distribution through Megamart's Local Legends program. Our scholarship fund had sent 5 Millfield graduates to culinary school, 2 of whom returned to work with us. Most surprisingly, our success sparked a mini renaissance in Millfield's downtown. A local cheese shop opened next door, followed by a boutique selling regionally made crafts. The long-vacant Myers Diner was revived by a young couple offering modern takes on classic Midwestern comfort food. When Food and Wine magazine ran a feature titled The Small Town Bakery that stood up to a retail giant, they asked why I had that Megamart didn't. Authenticity can't be mass-produced, I explained. When people buy our sweet corn cupcakes, they're not just getting a dessert. They're getting Mr. Hoffman's corn grown 3 miles away. They're getting my grandmother's technique for extracting corn milk. They're getting the story of how this recipe helped revive a struggling Main Street. The reporter pressed further. Weren't you tempted by Megamart's original offer? It would have meant national distribution overnight. Of course I was tempted, I admitted. But scaling too quickly would have meant sacrificing what made us special in the first place. Sometimes success means knowing what compromises you won't make, not just what opportunities you'll pursue. Last month, Bradley Wilson came back to Millfield. He didn't visit the bakery, but Ellen Thompson, my Tuesday regular who works at the bank, overheard him at lunch. That cupcake place should have failed, he told his companion. It defies every market analysis. $4 cupcakes in a town with median household income under $50,000? It shouldn't work. His companion, apparently another Megamart executive, reportedly replied, sometimes the algorithms miss the human element. People don't just buy food, they buy meaning. That's why we're rolling out Local Legends nationally. When Ellen relayed this conversation, I couldn't help but smile. The corporate giant that had planned to put us out of business was now trying to learn from our success. That evening, as I worked on recipes for our seasonal summer menu, my phone rang again. This time, it was a producer from a national morning show. We're doing a segment on small businesses succeeding against major corporations, she explained. Your story keeps coming up as the perfect example. Would you be willing to share how a small-town bakery managed to not just survive, but thrive against direct competition from one of the world's largest retailers? I looked around at the kitchen where it all started, now expanded but still functioning with the same core values, and thought about how to explain our journey. It's simple, I told her. They were selling cupcakes. We were selling community, and it turns out people are hungry for both.